By now, I've hopefully made enough videos stressing how great Kyoto Animation and Yamada are, so let's take a break from that. For now, this and this are two amazing shots, both conceived by the same director, Hiroshi Hamasaki. As most of you know, Hamasaki intended to craft two very different impacts on the viewer for Orange and Steins Gate, yet it's very clear that colour is purposefully central to how the differing impacts are being achieved. I've talked about colour being used as a cinematic tool before, but with Hamasaki's directing it's particularly important, standing out as the emotional and atmospheric catalyst in his anime. With Orange being a show that, above all else, is about the happiness of following the heart and the sorrowness of what we don't do, colour is absolutely fundamental to our experience. If you've watched even one episode of Orange, you've probably noticed that emotion stands out as an integral part of the show. Orange is an anime concerning the fabric of life, particularly one's progression through it and the decisions we make along the way. These choices both are inflicted and create emotions, which is why they're so important for the show. Hamasaki implements colour through well thought out, often subtle visual expression, allowing him to effectively paint emotion into important scenes. Why this works is the result of colour psychology, which focuses on how colour can exercise influence over human behaviour. The exact effect tends to vary between people, but some colours seem to have a universal impact regardless of culture and other dividers. For example, most people interpret this scene with heightened happiness, due to the bright oranges and yellows radiating a warm tone that dominates the shot.
袖のボタンも取れそうだったから縫っといたよ。
マジ？お母さんみたい。
わかる。
It's this application of colour that defines Hamasaki's choices with his colour palette. It's about viewer perception just as much as the portrayal of characters. But use of colour isn't just specific to certain shots in Orange, it's actually what makes the anime hold its atmosphere. Everything from the trees to the sky and even the school uniform are purposefully more dark than most other anime, giving it a tone that perfectly typifies the somber mood of Orange. It also makes the show feel more soft and subtle, avoiding overtly bright and flashy hair or backdrops. This fits perfectly with the serious character-driven narrative. Of course, there's exceptions to how Hamasaki uses his colour palette. The last thing he or any director wants is to become moulded into only using colour in a set way. This shot is just one example of that. It's actually dominated by bright orange in a moment of regret, allowing us to understand and experience the emotions Naho's feeling. Kind of like that shot from Euphonium. So much for that break. All the while, the room is actually quite dark to keep the overall melancholic atmosphere that accompanies our mistakes. This is followed by one of the best lines so far, perfectly encapsulating Orange.
オレンジジュースは甘くて酸っぱくて切ない味がした。
While overall, Orange holds an unsaturated atmosphere, the anime juxtaposes its low-key colours with intense bursts of joy. These are the shots that really define Orange. The show sends out a clear message that they are what should be held onto, cherished, and strived for in life. Hamasaki perfectly utilises deep oranges, light blues, and other bright colours to create an inviting atmosphere that perfectly encapsulates this and the emotions of the characters. Furthermore, it's these moments that truly bring the spectacular scenery of Orange to life, a bonus if you're a fan of great-looking cinematography. Above all else, it's these shots of visible emotion that allow us to enjoy the show's themes as much as possible, because it's how we and the characters feel that really matters. It doesn't stop here though. Hamasaki's understanding of colour palette extends further into things you might miss, consciously anyway. A great example being how shots of the future are much more illuminated than those in the present, creating a more mellow and distant feel, particularly during moments of lifted regret. There's more notable uses of colours such as the pink from sakura trees, acting almost as a signature for the atmosphere of corrected mistakes in the future. Hamasaki similarly fills his shots with bright white emitted by computer monitors, cell phones, and other gadgets in Steins Gate, although for a completely different purpose. It creates a distinctively science fiction feel which defines the anime's nature. What this really shows is Hamasaki is always thinking about the impact of colour and other cinematic tools in his anime, which is a good thing. It's undoubtedly, in part, responsible for crafting a director's style, and without it, everything would be, well, unimaginative. If what we've seen so far from Orange is any indication of what's to come, I have no doubt that it will be something amazing. When significant importance is being placed on genuine emotion for a show exploring the adolescent experience from a refreshing angle, how could it not be? It's a show that conveys both the happiness and sadness of youth in a way that few other shows can, because Hamasaki gets Orange. This goes further than just his colour palette. His use of framing in certain shots is more experimental for an anime than one would typically expect, and in terms of general production, the music is extremely fitting. There's actually not a whole lot which I can personally complain about, which is why good directing should always be appreciated. The colour palette of Orange is bound to continue to be central to the display of emotions, and if you're anything like me, you look forward to seeing what's to come. After all, for a director, anime is really just a canvas for evoking emotion. Hamasaki knows what to do with the brush. Thank you for watching, I've been Russ, and have a great night or day.